You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Nick, Alex, I Yield to Nolan, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 683. I'm your host, Tricky Mick. Alongside me, the man, the myth, and the legend. It's Alex.
Who? Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, I know I missed a couple weeks. He brings the awesome. He actually shows up, and I yield to no one.
Oh ho ho. Yeah, okay.
Did we lose yield?
No. Oh.
Yield must be in a different window.
No, you didn't lose me. You'll hear it, but I was in a different window.
I thought maybe he muted himself to sneeze, like he had a real big sneeze going.
Yield, you gotta download this app already. You keep going to different windows.
No.
How you doing, Yield?
I'm here.
Oh, you must be in a different window again.
No.
He brings the fire to the flame. It's Matt. How you doing, sir? We didn't hear you.
Oh.
Matt, how you doing, sir?
I don't know if I like that intro. He brings the fire to the flame. I know you're trying, and I appreciate you're trying, but we gotta come together on something.
I did one a couple weeks ago. I forget what it was. Now I forgot what it was.
I guess we'll have to go back to the last show that you were on then, because that was a couple weeks ago.
You could always say that among the army of Mega Man Robot Masters, he's Fireman. It's Matt.
See, and it took Alex all of 3 seconds to come up with that.
But that was bad, though.
How is that bad?
I think it's better than he brings the fire to the flame. Like
I will say it is better than what I came up with, but it's still bad.
He brings the fire to the flame with the heat to the gasoline. Ignite. It's Matt.
Oh dear, let's continue on with the show. This can be something else offline.
He builds Legos like a motherfucker. It's Matt.
Oh, got you, chicken fucker. Bagok.
I need to put that on a soundbite.
Motherfucker, I diced it up and put it in Dropbox. It's in there. It's called Super Chat.
I know. I got to put it on the soundboard. That's what I just said.
Nothing's as ever as special as your first time hearing it.
So sorry everybody, I've been gone for a couple weeks between health issues and work and everything. I just missed a couple weeks, and I do appreciate the gentleman holding down the fort for the last couple weeks. I have been slacking, and I apologize, but I am here. Trying to remember the flow of the show because I haven't done this in a while. Gentlemen, give me 1 second. I got to find the agenda. Let's go into our updated trophy counts. I am level 970 total trophies of 34,760 with 999 plats. I am working towards my 1,000. I think it's going to be Death Stranded too, but it's going to take me a little while. Alex is level 523 total trophies of 10,727 with 995 plats and 194 games. Yield.
Currently a level 533 with the trophy count of... Whoa, that's not what I'm looking at. There we go. 11,336 and 217 platinums.
Matt, I know you haven't changed, but what is your trophy count, sir?
Holding down the fort at level 222 with 1,337 elite trophies and 0 platinums.
And Sid is level 897, total trophies of 27,550 with 858 plats. Yield, do you have our rarity update?
Yes. Which, by the way, you need to go and vote on the Platinum of the Month there, Mr. Tricky.
I did.
You did? What did you vote for?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you voted then.
Maybe I didn't vote.
Huh?
I'm voting right now.
Okay.
I said, okay, maybe I didn't vote. I'll vote right now.
Vote for Star Wars Battlefront. You and
No.
You and Alex both vote for Star Wars Battlefront.
Alice isn't on Facebook.
Oh, well, vote for Alex. Just say Alex votes for Star Wars Battlefront. Anyway, Nitro stretches his lead to the top of Division 1 to 178 points, following this season's best performance, which included the highest score of the week, and the second rarest trophy of the week. He leads the way with 722. Myself is holding down second with 544 points, but my advantage has been cut by Pee-wee, who earned 121 points, taking her to third with 480, and overtaking Doc Chicken in the process, who drops to fourth with 444. Psychiatrist? Yeah, that's what I'll go with. Was a big mover going from 8th to 5th. He also had triple-digit scoring with 115, moving him up to 382. Further down the list, we have Murky Frazier dropping from 6th to 8th, and Redbeard Rick hit his best score of the season with 173, moving him to 9th from 13th. Mr. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle himself dragged himself out of the Kenny Loggins zone thanks to his 54-point week, and was replaced by Waterfield's 1, who could only muster 6 points after a trophyless week. Tricky earned his usual common bonus points and has now earned 60 out of a possible 60 points for those. However, he props up the table with 92 points. Hey, how's the view from down there, Tricky? Nothing, huh? Okay. In Division 2, not much movement at all. Kalai was the only contestant to better her position, as she moved from 15th to 13th and has 47 points for the season. This means the top 3 remain the same. In the promotion spots, X-Nightmare 317, rolling on the floor, laughing out loud Z, and Eifert Hellfire 90. Nightmare still has a big lead over the chasing pack with 353. It's much closer below him with the Big Don, the Grounded Gamer, and Murray 2011, all putting pressure on those promotion spots. Alex and Resident Daryl have been neck and neck the past few weeks. Daryl actually top scored for the division with 34. Alex earned the second highest score with 33, meaning Alex is in 7th at 112, and Daryl is in 8th at 110. Big Bernardo B earned his first trophy of the season, but remains on -1 at the foot of the division following his regulation from Division 1 last season. Stink Palm and Dat One Seagull both dropped a place to 14th and 15th, respectfully, following Kalai's increase. Their rarest trophy of the week, 5th, is Gareth with True Marksman and Injustice God Among Us at a 5.67. 4th, Pee-wee with Top in the Midnight... I'm reading it all wrong. Top the Midnight Club and Grand Theft Auto 4 at 2.26. 3rd, Redbeard Rick with Fly the Co-op at 1.73. 2nd is Nitro with One-on-One and Fantasy Strike at a 1.5. And myself, right here, I yield to no one, had the rarest trophy of the week with Unstoppable Ace at a 1.16% in Star Wars Squadrons.
All right. At this point, we are going to throw it across the pond to Sid for this week's Platinum Shoutouts.
Hello guys, it's Sid again with your Platinum Shoutouts for this week. And this week, our first one is Crook09 with FBC Firebreak PS5. A lot of people seem to be getting this one. I've not tried it yet. From what I've heard, it's not great, but it certainly seems to be a platinum that plenty of people are getting. Then we have Gaz Davis 11 with Habroxia 2, and that one is on the PS4. MZ Nitro. I love finding fur babies. Don't we all, MZ Nitro? So that one is on the PS5. Now, I'm not sure what that one is. It could be like a picture-in-picture or a hidden picture thing. I'm not too sure. I'll look that one up because I like that title. Then we have Do Chicken 13. Tung Tung Sahar. I forgot what the X stands for. I've just written it out. But that is on the PS5. Then we have Mr. TMNT84 with Rugrats Adventure in Gameland on the PS5. Then we have X Nightmare 317, Far Cry 3 Classic, and that is on the PS4. I never really played those, to be honest. And then Ifrit Hellfire 90, Class of Heroes on the PS5. And then we have Marky Fraser, 2 Point Museum on the PS5. Now, I do know this game. My wife likes this game, and she also likes Sims 4. We also have EDJ3DJ, Dead Island 2 on the PS5. Psy-Tychist, Date Z, Welcome to Massville High. That one's on the PS5. Redbeard Rick, we have Human Fall Flat and Speed Truck Racing. Both of those are on the PS4. And then Affectatious Dank, Robocop Rogue City on the PS5, which is a game, guys, I have to say, people need to play. That game is absolutely awesome. As for Plat of the Week, my friends, we're either going to have I Love Finding Fur Babies, just because I like that title, or Tung Tung Sahor X. I don't know what the X is again. I'm so sorry. Do Chicken 13. I just wrote down X to try and speed this up, but I now forgot what that was. I'm going to call it a tie between those two because I like those two titles. Very sad reason for having those as Plats of the Week, but there you go. I'm doing this section, and that's what I've decided. So, yeah, that's it from me this week, guys. Hope you're all okay. I will talk to you again next week, and keep getting those trophies. Bye.
All right, Yield. Let's get into what you've been playing, sir.
Played some Rocket League. I did finally get back into some Helldivers 2. Finally was working on the latest Warbond. Fired up a new game a little bit ago called Dust and Neon. Obviously been spending a lot of time boosting Star Wars Squadrons, working towards that platinum. And I also, in between that, have been working on a lot of Laika Age of Blood. Rolled credits on that Friday night. So now I have to do the kind of the grind to get all the viscera needed to upgrade all the weapons to max. So that'll just take some time, but that's a really good game. That's it. Oh, I also played some Hot Shots Golf, or Everybody's Golf, and some Just Cause 3 at my buddy's house on Saturday. That's everything.
All right, Matt, what have you been playing, sir?
Got a lot fit in this week. Let's see. If I go to Yield Switch, I did some... Nope, that's not what I want to do. Did some Super Mario Party Jamboree because I was bored and decided nothing else I wanted to play. Let's just go through some Jamboree. Just single player, but it was still fun. Kirby and the Forgotten Land as well. It's been a hot minute since I touched that game, and then I only realized that the Switch 2 upgrade pack comes out in about 2 weeks, I think now is the point, so I'll be grabbing that at some point. Actually did not touch Donkey Kong Bonanza, which surprised me. And that was it on the Switch, but as far as going over to the PC... I did a bunch. I did some Helldivers, some late night Helldivers, I should say. A friend was like, hey, can't sleep. Can you do a couple rounds with me? So did that. We did level 6 to try to get some super samples. It was a blitz mission, so we didn't have a lot of time. And I picked up all 3 super samples, and he died at the extraction point, and I was surrounded by bugs. It was pretty bad. I'm surprised I actually survived this and got onto the jet because I was just chased in a circle. I just kept running around to try to kite them around the extraction point until the ship was landing. The countdown hit, the ship started coming down, and I forgot it still takes a couple seconds. So I ran onto the point to try to get on it, and I go, oh, well, this is a problem. So I still have like 5 seconds before the ship lands, and I had to actually, again, kite them around the zone, and I like dove onto the ship last second.
Nice.
Did some Team Fortress 2, some Elden Ring Night Rain, more Battlefield 6 open beta, because today was the last day, and I think this will be the last beta before the game launches later this fall. I'm optimistically excited for it. I don't know if I'll be paying the full $70 at launch for it. And then, Tricky, you might be interested in this one. I downloaded and started playing the Hell Is Us demo. I remember you sent me... Yeah, you sent me the video, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck this game is supposed to be. So I downloaded it. I started playing it. I'm still confused as hell. And it's one of those things that the game opens, and it like proudly proclaims that we don't have a map. We don't show you where to go. You need to pay attention to your surroundings. You need to talk to everybody. And that'll tell you what you need to know. Knowing that, it intrigued me. And the combat is interesting. I'm not sure if I'm buying it because there's a certain cutscene that happens and I go, well, if that person died, how the hell am I surviving? And I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of mystery around it, but I'll say this. It plays beautifully. It's about 60 frames per second on the PC. But what annoys me is it does that. We're going to do all our cinematics in 30 frames a second. And it's just so eye-jarring to me when they do that. But the game looks great. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I think it comes out September 4th or something like that.
Yeah, I think very soon.
Yeah. So that's all I've been playing.
Yeah, a little backstory. I received an email saying that we're in the running to get a review code for it. So I sent a message to Matt saying, hey, you want to review this? He goes, I don't know what the fuck this is.
You sent me a video. I was like, what the fuck that didn't answer anything.
I remember seeing that during like a state of play. I don't remember what state of play it was, but I do remember seeing the game before because I went, ooh, that's a little intriguing.
Did you play the demo?
I did not.
Okay. It starts off with a cutscene that it's basically what is it? Kind of like you're playing a flashback.
Okay.
And as it starts, I'm like, all right, I know nothing about this world and what it is. I don't even know if it's supposed to be Earth or it's supposed to be some fictional setting. And they start naming cities. I go, all right, fictional setting. And then it gets to the combat part and you know, where you meet your first enemy. And I go, I don't know what any of this is supposed to be. I don't know. I got more demo to play. I haven't finished the entire demo. I wanted to get more Battlefield before I could do anything else. But it was one of those, I'll put aside time to actually play through. And we'll see what happens. I will say this. The visual fidelity is really good. And it immediately reminds me of the updated Silent Hill 2 and what it looks like. You know, you're traveling around woods. You're traveling around decrepit cities. There's weird entities, they call them, that you're going to be fighting. So, I don't know.
But you like what you've seen so far?
I'm intrigued by what I've seen so far. I can't say that I like it or dislike it. There just hasn't been enough there, other than them proudly proclaiming how they don't do things that other games, which, you know, how many games hold your hand for the entire thing saying, oh, here you go over here. It's just as an adult now with limited time, you go, all right, do I want to be held by the hand to go through, or do I really want to, you know, try exploring, which is not, you know, what it does is it makes you sit down and listen. I can't tell you how many games I kind of half listen to the NPCs and what they say and to do. And right. I go, well, no map here. Okay. I need to pay attention. I need to refer back to their notes when they're speaking, so I know what to go. And like the first thing they tell you is, oh, follow this. I put chimes on the trees for you to follow. Okay. So as I'm going through, I go, all right, there's a chime, walk through a little further. All right, there's the next one. So it's kind of like that old Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind meme where, you know, Skyrim, they point you to the door Oblivion, they'll say, go to this town and find this door. Morrowind, it's like, hey, it's in this quadrant of the map. Good luck, motherfucker.
All right, Alex, what have you been playing?
I've been playing quite a bit, but not really really nothing new. I played some Rocket League. They got a 10th anniversary Dead Mouse event going on where you can get a free drop, potentially a black market drop, if you win 3 games in a row. And I want to tell you, the way around that is if you are about to lose a game, just quit out and you will not lose your streak. Of course, you will incur penalties on this because, even in casual, they will penalize you for quitting out of games. But I don't know. The thing about the matchmaking in Rocket League is you can easily, with matchmaking with random people, lose 6, 7, 8 games in a row. But you will never win 6, 7, or 8 games in a row with online matchmaking with random people, which is kind of why I feel like the whole system is pretty well lopsided against you, which is why I hate the matchmaking in Rocket League, I will say. But yeah, I've been playing more of that, and I'm past the Rocket League now. I've gotten to level 70 and beyond, so I'm just getting reskins of items now. So anything I do is just extra. Caught up pretty much in Helldivers 2 as far as the war bonds go. I've got enough super credits now for the next 3 war bonds. I've been killing it, doing the grinding out for and stocking up for. I think there's a Here Comes the Boom or Drop the Boom or something like that Xbox war bond coming up, because I think on the 25th is when Helldivers comes to Xbox, so they've got a specialty war bond coming out for that. So I'll be able to buy into that. Finished and got all the trophies and Still Wakes the Deep Siren's Rest. Finished out the game. The 3rd chapter, which is really the only chapter you're in any kind of danger in, and it's chapter 3 out of 3, is painfully small. It's very short, maybe 20 minutes or less, and some of that is story ending expose. So, really, and it kind of feels like, and I don't know this for sure, but it feels like they kind of ran out of time or money for the budget. So they're we'll just leave, chapter 3 where it is. I guess you can say the story just naturally ends, but the 3rd chapter is so short, and, with a runtime of maybe 3 hours, you just feel like they could have gotten more out of it than they did. The first 2 chapters are decently sized, but the 3rd chapter, it just ends so, quickly that, I don't know. I don't want to speak for anybody, but it kind of feels like maybe this DLC isn't worth the money they asked for, $13. And I hate to say that because I know you got to do mocap, you got to do voice acting, you got to hire actors to do all this. And when they're making a story-based game with, stuff like that, with actual actors and people coming in, I know it can be more expensive, but I definitely feel like the DLC could have been more than it was, a little longer, because really the only amount of time you're in danger in the DLC, where you're not just exploring the ship at your own will, you're kind of, it's very abrupt, it's very short. So that was a little disappointing, but overall I enjoyed the setting. I enjoyed swimming around, finding the remains of the ship, the crew, finding the mementos, just working as salvage and kind of trying to, the idea of bringing families to peace who lost their loved ones on the oil rig is definitely something that I thought was a nice follow-up to the main game. So I just wish that they had a little bit more content to DLC. Last but not least, I've been playing the Mega Man Legacy Collection, which, yes, came out in 2015, but I decided to go back and do some of the challenges because there's a bronze trophy, which is actually an ultra rare, tied to getting 50 bronze medals in the challenges. And I got close before, just didn't feel like doing some of the later challenges, but I'm getting close to 50, and I kind of, like I said, I kind of want to just earn as many trophies as I can, mop up some of the old trophies, and even if I can only get one extra trophy in this game, I definitely want to do it. So yeah, just enjoying Mega Man. Mega Man's one of my favorite game series, and every once in a while, I'll go on a kick of listening to Mega Man music, Mega Man remixes, which are still popular to this day, 35 years later. And then, just playing the game. I just go on these runs where I just love playing Mega Man. So I don't do it every year or on a loop or at a very set time. I don't have, an anniversary that I do. But sometimes I just get a hair up my ass and I just got to play some Mega Man. So I've just been enjoying some of the old games. Well, some of the old games. Some of the levels are pretty fucking annoying, like some of the levels and bosses from Mega Man 1. But I love Mega Man, so going back and trying to do some of the challenges definitely is something I've enjoyed as I kind of wait for I guess my next game I'm going to buy, which is probably going to be Gears of War. I've already got it in my wish list. I have not pre-ordered it because I don't pre-order games, but I think Gears of War at $40, which seems very fairly priced, is going to be my next game purchase. So just trying to fill the time until then.
Not Hellblade?
I did see that. See, I was confused. I thought I saw it on the PlayStation Store, and I wasn't sure if we had talked about it. I feel like we had missed out on this, but I didn't know it was coming to the PlayStation 5. The original game was on the PlayStation 5, and then, of course, Ninja Theory got bought by Microsoft, and, well, we didn't think it was going to come back. But yeah, I mean, I guess Hellblade 2 is coming to the PlayStation. I mean, I want to play it at some point, but I probably would rather play Gears of War. I'm not going to buy both
It's out
games at
now.
once.
Well, Hellblade's out now.
Well, I know, but it's like a week till Gears of War, like 10 days. I don't know.
Okay.
I
Do
mean,
your thing, brother.
Granted, I have never played Senua's Sacrifice. I played the first game, enjoyed it, so I do want to play Hellblade 2, but I've never played Gears of War, so I kind of want to play that first.
10-4.
You know, I have
Also,
Hellblade.
Tricky, I see that you pre-ordered it, Tricky, so we could always play together.
Gears of War? Oh, yeah. I got that. I got Hellblade, I got Gears of War, and I got... What's the third game I got? I forgot what the third game I pre-ordered was.
Well, point is, we can always play Gears of War together.
I'll tell you in a second when I look it up.
So
You were saying you had Hellblade.
yeah, I have Hellblade Senua Sacrifice in VR that I keep being told I need to play just because of how trippy it can be.
Make sure you
But
wear a
I was going to
headset.
say, yes.
yes,
Which,
wear a headset.
well, that's the beautiful thing about the VR headset is it's got the headset there anyways. But getting a integrated headset, yeah. I too pre-ordered Gears of War, which interesting. We'll talk about that later in a story. And I did it on PC, which means I can play with you gents.
Can you?
It is crossplay.
Sweet. Here's our
Locked and
three-man
loaded,
squad.
motherfuckers.
Well, two-man squad. Tricky never shows up.
I show up. And I had... Oh, the third game I pre-ordered was of Ghost of Yote.
I'm assuming you got some bonuses with that to pre-order it.
I don't know. I just, I had a really good paycheck from work, and I said, fuck it, I'm down, pre-ordered a bunch of games. Those are the three I pre-ordered. Kind of surprised I didn't pre-order Metal Gear, because I'm gonna play that, but I didn't pre-order that one. So what have I been playing? I've been playing mostly Death Stranding 2 and The Division 2. I did get Hellblade, like I said, but I didn't want to start that yet because I never finished the first game. So I'm going to go back and play the first game first.
So why did
finish
you
that.
buy Hellblade 2 if you have to go back and play Hellblade 1 first? Why didn't you just wait and you could like catch it on a sale?
Because I support the developers.
Whatever you say.
We've had this discussion.
We've
I
had
don't...
this discussion. It just... what are the odds you're going to go back and play? Because here's the thing. I can see this happening. That game is going to sit in your backlog for fucking ever because you're not going to go back and play the first Hellblade for a long ass time.
As soon as I'm done with Death Stranding 2, I'm going back and playing Hellblade.
So you're just going to wait. You're just going to put the Assassin's Creed Shadows Platinum on the shelf. You're not going to go get that first.
No, I'm gonna take a break from Assassin's Creed for a while.
Does someone finally have the fatigue?
No, just I'm really wrapped up in Death Stranding. I've always been looking for a reason to go back and play Hellblade, so that's what I'm gonna do. Now that I have the sequel there.
Looking for a reason beyond just seeing the end of that game. As if that is not reason enough.
Well, I told you, I was playing it the first time, and I got really pissed off that I missed a collectible. I don't know what they're actually called. The tombs or the symbols. I missed one, and then I had to restart the game, and I was like, fuck this, I'm not doing that now. And it left like a bad taste in my mouth, but now, like, I just want to go back and play it. So... doing that. Division 2, the season finally ended. It didn't end. The story came to a conclusion for this season, so I finished that up. Trying to go through that on master difficulty, which is a pain in the balls. and they just made some announcements of things that come into the next season. They're also going to be at Gamescom, so I expect Matt's going to put that in the agenda for next week because there's some exciting shit coming. And they're also adding snow to the game, which is something we've been asking for 6 years now. Because the snow was an impact in the first game, or it snowed, but never really stuck. But if you look at the picture that they put out on Twitter, or X, if you want to call it now, looks like the snow gets a little deep, maybe like a foot deep, and that's a little intriguing to me. Yeah, and like I said, that's what I've been playing. I mean, obviously I got my bonus trophies because Gareth decided to call me out on the post.
Yeah, and the jumping ice cream.
Was it jumping ice cream?
You can't even remember at this point. I read that name out, like, Ash and I were getting ready to watch TV, and I read that name out, and all she could do is laugh. Because it's fucking ridiculous.
It was the jumping chicken wings. Jumping chicken wings turbo.
Well,
and yes, they were playing wings.
Is the jumping ice cream, so.
And yes, they were playing wings, Matt. Sue me.
I'm contacting my lawyer right now. Thanks.
Yeah, but that's what I've been playing. So at this time, we're going to throw it over to Matt, who's going to give us the news.
I'm going to give you the news. I can give you the business, too. Our first story comes from the Game Post. Sony's PlayStation Live service title Fairgames is canceled, it's claimed. I think, Alex, you had contributed to this by passing the story. I'm not familiar with this one at all.
I did not send this story, but I certainly commented on it because, man, is this deja vu?
I'm the one who shared it.
Oh, thank you both for bringing this to our attention. So basically, that there is an industry analyst, Michael Pachter. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Says Sony's canceled Fairgames, the live service heist shooter from PlayStation's Haven Studio. Made the claim on the latest Factor podcast. God damn it, I hate this guy's name. Sony turned all their console developers into live service developers, which resulted in Concord being shut down, the studio being shut down, which resulted in Jade Raymond being let go and her game canceled. He said they are bad managers. They don't know what they're doing. So I don't know. I haven't heard much of this game or what was supposed to be coming out. Do any of you know what this was?
Yes, this was also in a state of play.
Which state of play?
Explains why I didn't see it. Yeah, so evidently it was, to say, the careers page on the website lists 6 open roles. So I think, Alex, you had commented, or maybe somewhere we spoke along the line, says, well, if the game was canceled, what are they working on? Are they going to be around much longer? It seems like with 6 open roles, they're not exactly going anywhere anytime soon. But is this just another, group that Sony is mismanaging?
Well, it's a massive failure for Sony, for sure.
And Michael Pachter's a jackass.
He's been around long enough, though.
I know, but he gets half his shit wrong.
Well, we'll see if he's wrong on this one.
So what you're saying is he's no Jason Schreier.
Oh, Jason Schreier is worse.
Except Jason Schreier's right most of his time.
No, he's not.
Hold on, I want some clarification. Did you say in the article that Jade Raymond had been fired?
It said, per the quote, where did that go? Control F, Jade. What is official? PlayStation announced in May that Haven founder Jade Raymond had departed and that the studio would continue under the new co-studio heads Marie-Eve Danis and Pierre-Francois Sapinski.
So Jade Raymond, obviously of Assassin's Creed fame, helped open the studio. Sony bought them. This is their first game. The game gets canceled. Jade Raymond, who helps open the studio, probably the biggest figurehead there, leaves. This is fucking awful. I don't care how many positions you have open. This game's been in production for years. It was their first game. They have nothing to show for it. It was shown off at a state of play, was part of Sony's big live service push, which you know how this goes. I'd say this studio's on watch. On watch for them to... And maybe the only reason they wouldn't close the studio is because of what happened to Firewalk. They don't want to close Haven because then that really looks bad after you kill off Firewalk. cancel this game, and if you were to kill off Haven too, it'd be like, oh shit, we can't do that. But what the fuck is Sony doing? This is a massive failure, and another one of the lingering failures from the regime of Jim Ryan. Let's just call it what it is.
All right, so I just Googled Fairgames just to see how long this game's been developing, and there are literally 6 articles going. I have no info on game at all. Fairgames has not been canceled. I lost all faith. I have lost all faith in games journalism is not canceled. Michael Pachter also issued a correction and an apology for stating that it was canceled.
Okay. Well,
Stay tuned.
that's a non-article then.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Also, if it is true that Jade Raymond is gone, even if the game continues on, you're
No, she is gone. She quit the studio. She didn't get fired. She quit.
So yeah, like they have 6 open positions from what I can tell from what has been said, which is a lot to fill for a game that is currently deep in development. And again, one of your founders left before the first game even got out the door. None of this looks good for Sony. And again, whether or not Pachter is right about the game being canceled or not, which it seems he's not, the problem is that mismanagement at Sony is absolutely a massive problem.
I think this is. Listen, I'm not giving Sony a pass on this, but it sounds to me like this is just a product of the worldwide Jimmy they're trying to recover from that. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, don't use Daryl's stupid nickname. He doesn't know. Jim Ryan doesn't deserve a nickname.
I was stolen because I couldn't remember his name until I said worldwide.
Franchise worldwide Jimmy Ryan.
Well,
franchise killing worldwide Jimmy. Well, I guess he's not killing all franchises because these games can't even get off the ground.
So normally I'd go to Yield for comment on this, but it seems like it was refuted. So we can skip this and go on to the next actual article that isn't.
We will see. Let's keep our eyes on this because
So essentially, what I'm reading is that Pachter had assumed the game was canceled because Jade Raymond had left or departed or got fired back in May. I don't know. I don't know what he said to back up his claims. I don't care anymore.
I just want to reiterate. I called this before I even Googled it. Michael Pachter is a fucking idiot.
All right. Next actual article for us to discuss, coming from Prima Games. This is up for more of a discussion. You know, with big games coming out and now developers are looking for more ways to get your money as early as possible. It comes the advent of playing 3 days early when you pre-order this special Super Digital Deluxe Edition. And Ali Hashmi from Prima Games says, no game is worth paying extra just to play early. And his one of the titles in there says, launch day, oh, you mean the after party, meaning that launch days are no longer launch days, not unless you actually want to pay for more money. So I can't remember the fucking word. It's an appeal to people to say, hey, vote with your wallet. If this is something you truly want, then go ahead. If not, you know, honestly, this is becoming scummier and scummier, especially when you have these companies that are making server dependent games, meaning that you can't play them offline and that you're going to have to risk paying that extra money to not actually get to play your game a couple days early. I don't know. I can't remember if I've ever done this for a game. Tricky, have you ever paid more to play 3 days early?
I did, but I only did it in games that games that were already established and I had no problem doing it. Like, I pre-ordered Ghost of Yote. I already have faith that it's going to be a good game. I have faith that it's going to be quality. So I pre-order it. Do I get to play it early? I don't know. But I only do it with games that I have no worries about whether or not it's going to be good or not. But it is a sliding. It is a slippery slope in the fact of, like, I pre-ordered Mind's Eye, and then I started reading reviews, and I was like, screw this. I contacted Sony and said, listen, I want my money back. This is before the game even came out. and it turned out I was right. Will I get Mind's Eye later down the future? Probably. When it's, out and they've fixed all the bugs and all that stuff. But I would, me personally, I only do it if I have faith in the game. If it's an unknown game or a new IP, I don't do that. But I've done it with Assassin's Creed. I did it with the Division 2. And I did it with another game. I don't remember off the top of my head. So it's only games I have faith in. But just to put it thing, no game is worth paying extra just to play early. I agree. No game is worth paying extra to play early. Because most times games are coming out on either Tuesday or Friday now, right? And
Thursday.
Most times I'm wrapped up during that extra, early time anyway. So it's not a benefit to me. But if it was if I did have the choice, I gotta have faith in the game.
All right. Yield, have you ever paid for playing a game early, or would you?
No, and no. I guess that's part of the thing now, where if you get like the special collector's edition, it's 3 days early. But I've that's never lured me into, oh, I want to pre-order this. Ooh, I can play 3 days early. Yeah, sure, I'll get this edition. No, I'm going to play it eventually, so it's not that big of a deal for me. Now, if that edition had stuff that intrigued me, and it was a bonus that I got to play it 3 days early, okay, cool. But none of the games that I've pre-ordered since this fad has kicked off, I have not partake in.
Alex, what about you?
So I don't normally pre-order games because I'll just play it when it comes out, and there's never really anything like I'm not going to pay anything really beyond there's nothing physical, there's nothing really digital that I would want to pay for to get like a complete edition or get a special edition. And I'm not paying extra for early access to a game. Now, if they're like, hey, pre-order this, we want your money, you'll pay the same amount as you would on release day, and you'll get extra access to it, or like 3 days access to it. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Because I'll play it early if I can, but I'm not paying extra money to pre-order games. And at this point, I really don't understand the point of pre-ordering games. When they come out, the day they come out, you can go straight to the PlayStation Store or a similar digital storefront and buy it right there. You don't need to drive to the store. And there's nothing physical. There's no statue. There's no digital soundtrack that's really going to make me want to pre-order. So I'm cool paying the MSRP on release day.
Yeah, and I put a question about this for our listeners actually, so we'll cover it again. Because this is also in the line of pre-ordering, because honestly, you're not going to be able to do this unless you pre-order, unless you buy or spend the extra money the day of quote unquote pre-release. And I wouldn't mind, especially in this digital world, being able to say like, put down $10 to be able to play early. And then on release day, we'll charge you the rest. It just, that leads to a whole bunch of other problems. But again, it's a blatant effort by developers to get people to pay more money to, we'll say, beta test the launch. In one way, it's getting them to pay and log in early, so that way maybe their servers don't get slaughtered on day one. Get some of those people in to start testing. But what was it? There was a game I was playing, Tempest Rising, that did kind of the same thing, where you paid for deluxe edition to play early, and it was only $10 more than the regular edition. So it wasn't some egregious, here's a game for $70. Oh, you want to pay early? Here's $90 or $100 or $120 for the super deluxe edition. But it irks me that this is a blatant cash grab, that there doesn't seem to be any other real reason why they would continue doing this process. So I don't know. I agree with the author, and again, just spend your money wisely, folks.
But so I'll ask you, I'll ask all you guys. Like what I said is like, if you have faith in the game, like Alice, I'll just throw it to you. Like, you're going to buy Ghost of Yote, so you still wouldn't pre-order it now. With the knowing you're going to buy it anyway,
well, what's the point?
You're not going to pre-order that.
I'll just go there on launch day and buy it, and just wait till it downloads. Like I am not so wrapped up and so gotta play the game as soon as it comes out that I have to do something like that.
No, but see, when I look at like the 3 games I pre-ordered just because I knew I was going to get them, and they'll download onto my system, and when I'm ready to go play them, they're there. I don't have to worry about, I come home from work, I got to buy the game, then I got to download it, then, maybe an hour or 2 later I start playing. No, I know I'm going to play it. So on release day, I know that when I get home from work, it's ready to go, and the day 1 patch is already done. That's why I pre-order.
Listen, so it depends on the game, and we'll talk about pre-ordering separately. This is about paying extra to play early, which in a way is pre-ordering, but not the philosophy of pre-ordering. So we'll talk about that more in a second. We'll move on to the next story, and we'll get back to this when we hit the listener questions.
Well, I want to address something, because you said you see this as a blatant cash grab. You don't in any way see this as a possibility of saying, you know what, let's reward the consumer that wants to support us with the deluxe edition by letting them play it 3 days early. You think this is solely just so they can make their money? You don't see it as a way to reward the gamer ahead of time and saying, listen, we appreciate you spending $80, $90 on our game. We'll let you play it 3 days early.
I think that is a secondary thing that they can say they do, but with the cost of these deluxe editions, and it's not just deluxe editions that's doing it, you're getting like the super premium ultra mega deluxe edition to be able to play 3 days early, because normally these games are $70 and then the deluxe edition is $80, and then the edition that lets you play 3 days early is $100 or $120. So they're not getting one over on me when it comes to, we'll reward you. No, you're doing this because people are getting more and more pissed that what you're offering in those super ultra deluxe editions is not worth the price of the coin that people are putting out.
Yep.
All right, fair enough.
All right. Next story coming from GameSpot. We talked about them recently. Eddie McCook. And says Xbox President Sarah Bond is joining a different company's board of directors while retaining her position at Microsoft. And the way this article was originally titled says Xbox President now has another job at a different company. And then you get into the article and find out, well, it's not that she's leaving her job as president in Xbox, but that she's on the board of a different company. So don't really know why we talked about this one or why it was brought up.
Oh, because I got clickbaited with the title.
Yeah, and evidently she's going to be on the board of a meat company.
Yes. Which is just weird.
I guess. I don't know. Alex, anything you want to contribute to this before we move on to a more relevant article?
No, just don't work yourself to death. You're already the president of Xbox or whatever. Why do you need more things to do? I can understand leaving one job, and I'm not saying she's doing this, but I understand getting tired of a job and you've done all you can do and you feel like you've gotten enough success out of it and enough accomplishment that you leave to do something else. But having multiple jobs when you're like a big wig at a company, a very big tech company, I don't know. I just don't understand it. I don't want to work that much.
A lot of executives are on multiple boards because I can tell you, those board positions are so nonchalant. Yeah. Compared to what you have to do for your CEO job, being on a board is nothing.
I guess they bring you in to do some votes and stuff like that. But
yeah, she's also on the board for the University of Southern California School of Cinematic Arts. So there it is.
All right. Next article. This is a little bit of a clickbaity title too, but more substantive compared to what the last one was. But just says the majority of the world can no longer use PayPal to buy Steam games. Basically, this is a continuation of the stories going on about Steam's payment processing woes to say that PayPal no longer supports transactions made for Steam in various parts of the world, meaning that there's like 6 major currencies that PayPal will accept on Steam, those being the US dollar, UK, and a couple others. But again, this goes back to, and Steam came out with an article that says, no, we confirm this is the ongoing issue where they refuse to process transactions for us based on the content of some of our games. So the payment processing drama continues on for Steam. And here we are. So the currencies are the euro, the Canadian dollar, the British pound sterling, the Japanese yen, Australian dollar, and United States dollar. Those are the only transactions PayPal will process for Steam. Meanwhile, you can use PayPal, go buy plenty of other things that may be against the terms. I don't know. Alex?
Boy, this plot continues to thicken. I don't know. There's so much recently with, card processors and Steam that, we had a story where MasterCard says that they had reviewed no content that went through Steam and were not suggesting anything that would affect Steam and purchases on there. And yeah, I mean, like, there's just too much kind of like smoke here for there not to be a fire somewhere. And granted, I mean, there's a chance it could be coincidental, but like all this coming out around the same time, like, can it really be coincidence? I don't know. I saw this article and that was my first thought because I'm the one that shared it. Now, this doesn't affect Steam in the US, or you can still use PayPal on Steam in the US and a few other countries, but, what's really, there's got to be something going on in the scenes behind here. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but when so many things happen in close proximity, they've got to be connected somehow, right?
Well, yeah, you've got some people out there talking about that this is still all arising from the Collective Shout initiative, which sought to specifically target games that focused on extreme sexual violent activity towards women. And now payment processors are maybe taking that an extra mile and banning other things that, getting ahead of the curve, I guess is what you could say. And then what you have there is now people are saying, well, where's it going to stop? Is GTA 6 now going to be banned because it's going to have themes that people don't want because you could do certain things to certain people in that game? It's definitely the slippery slope, and a lot of 1984 purists are starting to go, yeah, this is starting to look a little sketchy when these payment processors are out there saying, no, you can't use our services to buy games. Morally objectionable. Yeah, there's plenty of games that are like that, but now you've got payment processors out there saying you can or cannot buy things based off of this. I mean, technically you're not, like, for instance, if you have a federally backed health savings account card, you can't go out there and buy medical marijuana because it's like federally against the law, especially in states where it's now legal. So there's some precedence to say payment processors can say what they want you to buy or what they don't want you to buy. But the problem is you start getting to that, okay, well, if they become the arbiters, then who are we to be able to fight it? Yield, you have any thoughts on this?
I want to, but I don't know where I want to go with it. That's the thing. It feels like they're alienating like a good part of the country, but I don't really feel mad about it. I don't know. It's weird, but I guess I don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and as I go into this, it's giving power to a group that has absolutely no right having that power. And I go back to the net neutrality thing. And a big problem with people, having the removal of net neutrality is they do it under the guise of protecting the children or protecting somebody. because they'll say this shouldn't be allowed because we morally object to it. When the company, especially something like a teleprovider that, bids for contracts in certain areas, it's not like I have a credit card that I can choose my list of banks. You're restricted on the number of banks and processors you can use. And as a result, it leaves you as a consumer with a bad taste in your mouth, because the only other option then you have is, all right, well, if I want to do this, if I want to have my product on Steam, then, I got to count on the people going out there and buying Steam gift cards to be able to do this. Because honestly, here's the workaround. I use PayPal to buy Steam gift card funds on Steam, and then I use those funds to go buy the games I want. So is it an extra workaround? Yes. Is it getting to the root of the problem? I don't think so. Tricky had stepped away, so we'll see if he comes back to discuss this. If not, we can move on to the next article, which is appropriate because just like Tricky left the podcast, the IGN boss leaving after latest rounds of layoffs. Games media veteran John Davison got his start at PC Zone and EGM back in the late 90s. It's coming from Kotaku, written by Ethan Gatch. Basically saying the head of the biggest gaming site in the world is leaving the company at the end of August, Kotaku has learned. John Davison has been with the IGN's publisher since joining back in 2019, told the staff on Monday it was time for the next chapter. This comes after a couple rounds of layoffs that IGN had, and I'm looking at this going, where's Tricky going to get his payoff now for putting IGN articles on the news?
Well, with fewer employees on the payroll,
Aren't
Tricky's
you
got,
funny?
They got more money to throw at Tricky for all his shilling that he does.
I don't shill for them.
Not since I took over the news.
Listen, I only go to IGN because it's the one place I can go to where all the articles are.
That they copy from other sites.
But you're not even giving me credit that I've been sending you articles to put in the agenda that aren't IGN articles.
Hey, Tricky, here's your credit that you've been sending me articles that aren't IGN. So thank you.
I haven't sent you an IGN article in I don't know how long.
That is accurate.
Maybe
I don't know, Tricky. Well, no, in all seriousness, what do you think of this?
What was that, Yield?
I said maybe they laid you off.
They laid me off, yes.
All right. What do we think, Tricky?
I got no comment on this. It's for one, the article is coming from Kotaku, so it's
Questionable at best.
yes. But I mean, this was reported by other sites. But I don't know, like bosses leave companies all the time.
What was the reason why?
I don't know what to say about this. Like, this guy's leaving. Like, okay,
But you have to take it into the
They'll put another
context of
boss in
how
there.
many people have also been let go from IGN recently. Like, you can't just ignore that news and act like they're not potentially connected.
but was he fired or did he leave on his own?
It seems like he left on his own, but again, taking it through the lens of there's been a series of layoffs recently. Is this him fighting back? Because, when Ziff Davis comes out here saying you need to do layoffs, is he going, all right, these are my walking papers too, I'm not going to deal with this bullshit moving forward? Or is he truly going out to greener pastures? Is there something else he wants to do with his life?
He's probably seeing the writing on the wall, saying that, like, his days there are numbered anyway, so he might as well just leave on his own terms. It's people leave jobs all the time. Like, I get that this is news and we're in the video game industry and we cover this type of stuff, but bosses leave companies all the time.
That's true, but sometimes
I
they leave for different reasons, and you can't ignore that there might have been another reason other than he wanted to leave just for his own.
I mean, we don't know if he was fired or he was let go. Sounds like he was let go. He left on his own terms. Fine. If he left in solidarity with, because he had to do the layoffs, I couldn't be prouder of him. He's standing up for his guys. I get it. And chances are, he could get a job doing something else, and he's going to recommend the people that he had to lay off to come over there. Great, but it is what it is at this point.
You're right, but I mean, the thing is, we're just guessing. We'll never know because, if this guy goes and gets another similar job somewhere else, makes a horizontal move, then I guess we know. Because if it was time for something else, you wouldn't go get another job at like a competing company in the same sector. But people sometimes maybe he left the job, but it also could have been like them saying, "Hey, out of courtesy, we're not going to fire you as long as you step down or you quit." That happens too.
That absolutely could be the possibility, but I will say I've seen a number of people from IGN leave and go work at developers and publishers. Maybe this is what he's doing.
It could be, and his next move, if we know what it is, could absolutely tell us that. It can give us a window to some clarity as to figuring out the situation. At the end of the day, though, do we really care if people get fired from IGN? I hate to be honest, I don't. I don't use IGN.
I mean, I don't want...
IGN is not what it used to be. None of these game sites, GameSpot or Destructoid or Kotaku, none of them are what they used to be. So honestly, hopefully everyone can still pay for all their stuff and afford to live. I do hope that. But who gives a shit about IGN at this point? Legitimately.
There are people that care about it. I mean,
people that work there, or is anyone really a diehard fan of any press?
Not anymore.
Of any what? I'm sorry.
Of any press, of any website or game journalist? Is anyone a diehard fan anymore? Yes, I understand places like Giant Bomb, when they first started up, probably had a pretty strong following. But who gives a shit about these media outlets these days?
I mean, Matt sounds like he's got a bromance for Jason Schreier, so
he respects the man who does good work. He believes.
I respect accuracy.
Yeah. And I understand, if you trust somebody more than other people, then you're going to gravitate to those people. But, let's be real. Hearing that people got fired from a game studio is much worse, a deeper cut than hearing people got fired from IGN.
I mean, I don't want to see anybody lose their jobs, obviously.
No, like I said, I want people to still be able to afford to eat and to take care of their pets or their loved ones or their kids and be able to afford clothes and shit like that. But at the end of the day, IGN just, I could give a shit less about IGN as a company.
All right, we haven't heard from Yield yet on this. Yield, you have any thoughts?
Until you know why the guy's leaving, because I feel like Alex is that it's there's too much happening. Well, I shouldn't say he didn't say it. He said that for the last article, but I feel like there's too much happening at the same time for this to be I think it's time for me to switch jobs. A lot of layoffs have come. So either he's leaving because he didn't feel right with the cuts, or it's you're not doing a good enough job keeping this company going. We've had to lay a bunch of people off, so you can either leave or you're next. Until that comes out,
you heard it. He's gonna get speared and jackhammered. He's next.
Yeah, I don't know, but I agree with Alex though of the whole gaming media. I don't really care. I mean, I feel bad when people lose their jobs, but I don't care, So I guess stay tuned because we don't really know why he left.
Media, IGN and all these companies, they are less important now than they've ever been. We rely on them now less than we ever have. I don't ever go read a review for them. I don't ever go look at previews and all that kind of stuff. At this point, I hate to say it, but they're kind of obsolete.
I think they have a value in congregation of everything. But like I said to Tricky at the top of this, just go to the articles that they're pulling their news from. Go to the source.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, the problem is, and I'll give Jason Schreier his kudos on this. It does seem like there's not many journalists on any website that really has an inside track with these people. I remember the days of Colin Moriarty, Greg Miller. If there was a Sony News, they could go to Shuhei right off the top. They could go to Jack Tretton right off the top. Like, they had their phone numbers. They could call him up, say, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And Jason Schreier does seem like he has the inside track with some of these developers and publishers. And that comes from a long storied career. But most of these journalists nowadays on all these websites, not just IGN, they just 90% of the articles are rumors. Like, oh, this is what I think is going to happen, and this is the trend. I mean, fucking Michael Pachter, earlier we talked about him. It's like, oh, he's an industry analyst. He's been here for all these fucking years, but I'll put out there that Fairgames is canceled, and then 2 days later, he has to retract it and say, nope, I was wrong. Like, come on.
That's news today. Everybody tries to get the story out, and again, it's dangerous when you sit there and go, well, I misspoke, or I incorrectly reported things. Well, you need to do better as a journalist.
Yeah, I remember years ago, I was at PAX, and somebody who, I mean, you're going to know the developer in a second when I say it, but a developer I was talking to, off the record, blah, 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 let it slip that The Last of Us 2 was in development. And I came back and I told everybody, The Last of Us 2 is in development, blah, blah, blah. I didn't mention my source, and I got roasted. And then I got, I don't remember if it was E3 or the PlayStation Experience. They were supposed to reveal it, and that's when I said they were going to reveal it. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a game that opened the show, and then there was like a game that the same game ended the show. And I told everybody, I said, this is where The Last of Us 2 was supposed to be revealed, and it wasn't revealed. I don't know why, don't know. I wasn't in touch with that person anymore. And then the very next big press conference, it was revealed. And everybody was like, oh, well, I guess you were right. I'm like, yeah. But for months, I was roasted and saying, oh, you know what the fuck you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And I turned out to be right. And I only found that out by accident. The developer just happened to say it. And that's the way it was. And I'll tell you exactly what happened. I told him The Last of Us was my favorite game. He goes, oh, I bet you can't wait to play the second one. I said, well, whenever you guys get to it. He goes, oh, it's in development now. And that's how I found out. He let it slip. But I protected the guy's integrity. So. Yeah, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox.
Alrighty. Well, so we did ask some listener questions this week, but we
time to check my social media.
You asked the question, Matt.
I asked the question, but we didn't get any questions back. However, I did ask, do you pre-order games? Why or why not? If you do you pay in its entirety, or do you pre-order the minimum necessary, or even on Amazon where you don't pay before it ships? We got two answers. And first, coming up from Curtis, says that he occasionally pre-orders. Nowadays, it's almost always digital, either on PSN or Xbox Store. Usually does it if there's a pre-order bonus. And Will Schultz comes in saying, speaking in regards to physical games, he never pre-orders. Too many companies take years to produce the product. Wouldn't do it digitally either. Not worth it for some cosmetic crap. And I vividly remember a number of years ago, one of the Transformers games came out. I think it was War for Cybertron, or maybe War for Cybertron, where depending on where you pre-ordered from, you got a different bonus. And I pre-ordered specifically from GameStop because it gave you Shockwave as a playable character in the multiplayer wave-based horde mode. And I go back and, it's very rare that I'll pre-order a game. I try to stick with the, don't pre-order. But when something like Doom the Dark Ages is coming out and I can get a discount on it by pre-ordering, that's when I feel it's most worth it. It's a game and from a developer you trust, and you get a discount and you're not paying full price at release. But I was curious, what about you guys? I know we kind of got into this earlier. Tricky, anything more on pre-ordering and why or why not?
I normally pre-order in bunches. Like, if I know like a bunch of games are coming out that I want to play, I just pre-order them. And it's weird for me to say this, but I do it because at this particular time I have this, $200 or $300 that is not designed for something else, I can go spend on the game. I remember in my past when a game came out and I was like, fuck, I don't have $60 to buy it. So I always go, well, I got the money now. Let me buy it now because I know I have the money. What happens if on release day I don't have the money and I really want to play it? It sounds stupid, but that's part of the reason why I've always pre-ordered games. But then again, I didn't pre-order Death Stranding 2, even though I knew I was going to play it. But it's one of those things. Like I get in the bunches where I pre-order games. And even when I pre-ordered those 3 games, a game I know I'm going to play is Metal Gear Delta. I didn't pre-order it, and I'll pick it up when it comes out in like 2 weeks.
Well, the flaw in your logic, Tricky, is that if you don't have the money to buy it when it comes out, chances are you would have to spend that money on something else, which means that you then, if you pre-ordered the game, didn't have that money to spend on the other thing you needed to spend it on rather than buying the game, if that makes any sense. The real reason you pre-ordered games is because there was only so many physical amount of games that came out or came to retailers, and you wanted to get a copy of the game. You wanted to ensure you got a copy of that game. I get Psychonauts 2. I used to live in Lexington when I went to college at the University of Kentucky, and the GameStop that I went to got 2 copies of it on PlayStation 2. 2 copies. So there are certain games that you wanted to pre-order so that you got your copy. These days, they don't run out of copies of games. There's no finite amount of games because most of the games they sell are digital, and it's just code. And you can, a number of people can go buy it from the PlayStation Store, or from the Xbox, or from Nintendo Switch online. So the real reason we pre-order games is because there were a finite amount in the wild, and if you didn't get a copy, you would have to go to like a third-party seller or something like that. Now, pre-orders are completely obsolete. Completely. Because, again, most of it's sold digitally, and there's no fear of it running out.
Yield, you do any pre-ordering these days?
So back in the day, like Alex said, you did pre-orders because the store may only get 2 copies. So if you pre-ordered it, then they knew they needed to order 7 copies. Let's say 5 people pre-ordered it, they would order 7 copies. 5 for the people who pre-ordered it, 2 for the store. Anyway, you wanted to make sure you got your copy, because if you walked into your favorite store, if it was a hot enough game, there may not be the stock there. As gaming got more popular, that necessarily wasn't the problem unless it's a really oddball game. But then I would pre-order if there was something physical that I was getting that I wanted, and that was the only way you could get it. That's kind of where I'm still at today, is that if there's something cool that I'm getting with it, then I'll pre-order it. I think one of the last things I pre-ordered, I pre-ordered Everybody's Golf the other day, but that was because there was no sales tax in the state, and I wanted to save some money. So I just went ahead and bought it. But the last thing physically I pre-ordered was Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, because I was able to get a steel bookcase.
That's not the last thing I pre-ordered.
What's the last thing I pre-ordered?
You pre-ordered Star Wars Jedi.
That came out after that? Okay. Well, that, again, I got a lightsaber hilt. I got something physical for it.
Right.
Either way, I got something for it. Now, if I don't get something I want, either a physical or something kind of cool digital that I think would be helpful in my game, I'll just buy it the day it comes out. It's kind of where I'm at. Because there's, like Alex said, you're not going to run out of games now.
But for you, you don't buy digitally. You only buy physical, so that is a issue for you.
Unless I can't get it. Like Hot Shot or Everybody's Golf is only coming out digital in the U.S. So I had to buy that digital. But yes, okay. I buy physical. So unless there's something worthwhile about pre-ordering it, we'll just wait until it comes out. And then I'll order it on Amazon. Or drive to the store and get it.
Okay. Well, hopefully we get some more questions next week and we can be answering instead of asking. But maybe we'll think about more of we ask the crowd some additional questions. But moving on to our topic of the week.
Topic of the week. Well, fine then. Fuck you, Matt.
What's the number up to now, Tricky?
4.
Okay. Coming from thegamepost.com, Abdullah Jawad, in an interview with gamesindustry.biz, Sean Layden had some choice words, though you remember Sean Layden is the former, and I do use underline and bold for former PlayStation boss, where he shares his thoughts on Xbox Game Pass and similar subscription models hurting AAA game development, calling them bad for the business. In a quote, he says he's not a big supporter of the Netflix of gaming idea, says Layden. I think it is a danger. The problem with gaming is all we have is launch. That's it. No one wants to pay money to come into the studio and watch people code. Basically, he says that look what happened to music, that it should be, in the popular mind, music costs nothing. Music should be free. Then Spotify is like, oh, it's $15 a month or something. But virtually no one buys music anymore. And he thinks that's going to be the same way that games are going into that. Nobody's going to be buying games. Everybody's going to be buying into the subscription model. And, hosts on this show, hosts on the Loop Bros have been very critical of this type of business. We've talked at length ad nauseum about this, what Microsoft is doing versus what PlayStation is doing versus what Nintendo is doing. And each of them kind of has a different philosophy. If you take a look at Xbox, this day and date, you're getting the big titles. You're getting the AAAs launching. PlayStation, you're getting, maybe some bigger games a little later, but you're getting access to their wide backlog of games, with many of them having trophy support, even some very much older games. And then Nintendo, you get a lot of their instant classics in the various different games, as well as like Genesis. So each company has its own philosophy, but all of it is doing the same thing, providing you the ability to play the games online while giving you access to be able to rent games as well. And I think people tend to forget that, because they just look at these subscription services as saying, well, I'm getting access to these quote unquote free games, and totally forget that it's providing you the capability to play games online with other people. That's how Xbox started. That's how PlayStation developed their system. And that's what Nintendo eventually went through on the Nintendo Switch. So that's a huge thing that people are forgetting, that these quote unquote free games were built into these services because people were sitting there saying, well, where is the value for my money? Getting to play online is seemingly not enough. So, Yield, your thoughts on Mr. Layden's comments on what he thinks the future of gaming is?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that we've hit that nail on the head where, you're kind of worried where it's going. Everybody wants you to have a subscription service to play this game or that game, and ultimately, I think it just boils down to, do you feel that the benefits that somebody's offering is worth you to pay for it? I mean, we've all got our different reasons why we do PlayStation Plus. I did it at first because of the freebie stuff you got, but then it kind of evolved to it's the extra discounts on games that they drop sometimes on specific games. If you're a Plus member, you get this for 60 off instead of 30 off. And that's where I find my value in Plus right now. Because, I mean, yeah, you got to have it to play most of their games online. Even though they say they don't make their developers do that. That's a different discussion for a different day. But, yeah, to me, it's the discounts for PlayStation Plus, not the fact that I can play online.
Okay. Alex?
I would definitely, first and foremost, advise Sean Layden to pick his words more carefully when using certain things, certain words. But so look. Here's the thing. There's a reason why as Matt said, Sean Layden's the former head of Sony, and there's probably a reason for that. But this is the way the market is going. You have to follow the market. It's not like music goes this way, television, movies goes this way, and video games are just the complete. They can just stick to their guns and sell you a $70, $80, $90 game, piece by piece, and you pay that amount for every single game. I mean, if he has a problem with subscription services and that kind of being bad for games. What about constant sales on video games? Nintendo said that mobile games was bad for video games because it devalued the cost of games because you could get games so cheaply on the mobile market, and that would change and warp what people's perception of what they should pay for a game is. Let alone, Mario and Pokemon are now on mobile these days, including Mario Kart Tour is on mobile, so Nintendo kind of came around on that. But it's the way of the market. It's the way we consume things now, especially entertainment. You can't expect, if you're expecting people to pay full price for games like we used to, the market's going to crash and people aren't going to buy in. Like, people just don't have the money to spend on buying a bunch of games every month to support the industry and to support the developers. Subscription models are the way it's going, and we've seen more and more companies, Nintendo, get more and more into digital sales because that's just the way what consumers expect. And you have to follow consumers and give the consumers what they expect. Granted, there has to be a give and a take. It's got to be a beneficial relationship for customers as well as for the video game producers, but you can't just ignore the fact that subscription services and digital sales are the way of the future. And, Layden may be out of touch. Maybe he's a dinosaur and he just doesn't understand or, can't get on board with the way things are going. But you can't just ignore the fact that this is the way things are.
Okay. Tricky.
I see it a little differently from Alex because while I do agree this is the way of the future, this is what's going to happen. I think Sean is making a point in the fact that like these studios are spending more and more money to develop these games every time. I mean, we got the report that Rockstar was spending over $2 billion to make GTA 6. Now, the way GTA 5 went, I don't think they're worried one bit about recouping that money. I think they'll recoup that money fairly quickly. But when you hear stories of developers spending $100 million, $200 million to develop a game, and then I've been critical with Xbox about this. Like, you got all the Xbox first-party studio games coming out on Game Pass day one. While that's a great perk for the gamers, on the opposite side of it, that's got to suck for the developers that spent 2, 3, 4 years of their life developing a game, and you're basically giving it away for free.
Well, isn't it Sony's fault that they spend $200 million on a game? Don't make those games. You have a choice in how much money you allocate to games.
I mean, there's an argument to that, Alex, and I'm not saying you're wrong about that, but I think the quality of games needs to improve, and with the way the games are improving in quality, the cost is going to go up. That's an inevitable thing. Like, there is an argument to say that there are some indie games that blow the shit out of AAA games. Like, there's definitely an argument to be had there, but when you got like in the case of like Xbox, all their first party games are coming out in Game Pass day one. I've said it numerous times. That's a horrible thing to do to the developers because you're not recouping all that money because yes, they are making a shitload of money off of Game Pass subscriptions, but all that money off of Game Pass subscriptions has got to be allocated to paying salaries to all these developers. And I don't know how many studios are under Xbox Studios nowadays. I think last time I heard it was like close to like 13 or 15, something like that.
There's been more than that, but they've also, we heard of the closure of the coalition. So, but again,
yeah. But my point being is all that money on Game Pass is got to be divided up between all these game studios that are not making sales on their games after release. Now, with that being said, I do know there are still people to go out and buy the games after, even though they're on Game Pass. I get that. But the sales are nowhere close to where they would be if they weren't being released day on day on Game Pass. Sony, I think, has the right idea in the fact of saying, listen, our first-party games are going to come to Plus at some point, but it's at least a year, if not 2 years, after release. And I think that is, I'm not going to say it's a better way of doing it, but I think it's a smarter way of doing it, saying you're not going to get our games, right off the start. And I think that's smart. I really do. Because you got to, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, they're in a business. They're in a business to make money. And if they're not making money and your developers are turning around. Now, in reference to what you said, Alex, like the words he used, I agree he should use a totally different word. But on the same token, it's a fairly accurate statement. It's in my opinion. You're having these developers come in, and there's no hope that these developers are going to make money. So, like any of these studios, if they ever wanted to go independent, are never going to be able to go independent because they're not making any money off the sales. They're not making any money off of this. Xbox is making the money off of this. Yeah, Xbox is paying their salaries, but they're never going to be able to go independent.
Who says that that's their goal? Like, and again, Tricky, your entire argument around this thing is your assumptions, not like actual concrete evidence. I
mean, we're all making assumptions, though, aren't we?
Well, no, it's not an assumption that this is the way the market's going because this is what consumers expect. Every other form of media has followed this trail, and again, if Sean Lade and Sony have so much of a problem with this, then you need to change your business model and change your projects and how much money you spend to make games. Downsize teams to make smaller games. I'm sorry. I'll tell you this now. After playing The Last of Us Part 2, I don't want The Last of Us game that fucking long again. That game could have been chopped in half. Now I'd been happier. Because you make too big of games and you have allowed your budgets and your teams to blow it out of control is not the fault of the consumers. It's the fault of Sony and their management. So you have to adjust to what the market wants because, yes, you have to make money. How are you going to make money, though, if you have fewer and fewer customers because the way you do business isn't up to what people want?
So, and I'll jump in here because further on in the article, it talks about that everybody is asking him, well, the ongoing debate whether Game Pass is profitable for Microsoft. And Layden says that he thinks it's the wrong question to ask. For him, the real issue is whether it's healthy for the developer and sustainable for the industry. Well, and I think that's exactly what they're trying to do in this case for Game Pass, at least in Xbox. Because you remember, Sony introduced their version of this in response to Microsoft's offering. And you can't say that Microsoft, what they were doing was not profitable when Sony's out there being like, all right, well, we got to do this because everybody seems to be on the bandwagon over there. And to your point, Alex, if it's sustainable for the developer, yeah, they can't go independent, Tricky. But if it's sustainable for the developer, meaning that they have consistent income, that they don't necessarily have to worry about where their next paycheck is, unless you get fired or let go. That's another story. But this provides that consistent income for people to say, yeah, I'll keep the service because I like playing online. I like getting the games that come in every month. And to that point, it is healthy for the developer, but maybe not gaming in the industry because people are going to stop buying games when they say, well, I just subscribe to a service for a month.
Well, then I'll lay it out this way. We talked ad nauseum about how Microsoft was buying Activision Blizzard for all that time. We knew there was going to be redundancies and whatnot. Like, if a game studio is going, okay, I'm coming every week, I'm collecting my paycheck, but there's no passion in it, in making the game because, you don't have creative freedom. Alex, you asked the question, like, why would a studio want to go independent? Because they want creative freedom. They don't want to be told what to make. And I have to be like, if I was a game developer and I'm hearing that Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard, there's got to be some part of me that's going, is my studio going to be shut down? Am I going to lose my job because Microsoft determines that Activision or Blizzard is just, too powerful and we're not making them enough money? Like our games aren't getting enough traction, so we're all going to lose our jobs. That's a constant worry. I mean, that's a worry industry wide. But if you can never put yourself in a position where you can go, if shit happens, I'm okay. That's got to be a worry of the people of the industry.
Here's the thing, and I brought up Psychonauts earlier. Double Fine, studio that had freedom to do what they wanted, and they eventually had to change their whole model because they had some, I don't want to say financial issues, but they spent a lot of money to make Brutal Legend. Brutal Legend was dropped by Activision, had to be picked up for publishing by EA, and that game kind of put Double Fine in a hole. They later did Costume Quest, stacking smaller games. They had creative freedom. What happened to them? Where'd they go? They sold to Microsoft. So not everybody wants creative. There is a risk of being your own independent studio. We saw that with Double Fine very much. And here's the thing, Tricky. Here's a question I want to ask you. Is the point of selling games to people these days, is the point of making as much money as you can off of one person? Or is the point to bring as many people into your ecosystem as possible? That's what subscription services do. You're bringing in as many people as you can and hoping they spend money. You're not just selling a $60, $70 game a month or 2 games a month to the guy who grew up playing video games. You're trying to get as many people, trying to make gaming go mainstream, essentially, and that's what you do with the subscription service. So that is the point of what they're all trying to do now, is get their games in the hands of as many people as possible, which Microsoft has blatantly shown by making it Xbox Game Pass widely available on, not just the Xbox, but also PC. That's the point. You're not trying to sell as much as you can to one person, or to the group of gamers who grew up gaming. You're trying to get as many heads under your umbrella as you can. That's the point.
Okay, so Game Pass right now, which I think is just, these numbers got to be off. It says core is $75 a year, PC Game Pass is $144 a year, and Ultimate is $240 a year. Those numbers sound right to you guys?
Yeah, because remember that they did a break off of a base level. So where they have Ultimate, which is their top tier, you get everything. Then there is their base, which gives you what I forgot how they broke it off. Go talk while I look, because I can't remember what the difference was.
Well, I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to bring up a point, and then you can have your time. At $240, you are essentially guaranteeing yourself, as Microsoft, that anyone who buys into that essentially buys the equivalent of 3 of your AAA games a year. You're guaranteeing yourself by locking them into that $240. You otherwise,
but they are releasing more than 3 AAA games a year, though.
Are they?
Yeah.
Are we sure? Because there's definitely been years. Look at Sony this year. How many AAA games is Sony themselves releasing from their studios?
I'm looking right now.
While you do that, the difference is Game Pass Core, the cheapest one, offers the online multiplayer and a catalog of 25 high-quality games. Standard includes that plus hundreds of console games. Then there's PC Game Pass, which is separate, and then Game Pass Ultimate, which is where you get the day one releases.
All right, so Alex, just this year, just in 2025, Microsoft is releasing Doom: The Dark Ages, South of Midnight, Ninja Gaiden 4, Gears of War Reloaded, Gears of War E-Day, Clockwork Revolution, and Call of Duty Black Ops 7. And all those are going to be played by millions of people.
Okay, but how many of those people are going to buy 3 of those games? And also, Gears of War Reloaded is only $40. It's not $70. So,
all right, so you take that one out. You still got 6 games that are all being released.
So if you could essentially, for the cost of Game Pass, you could buy 3 of those games at $70 and Gears of War Reloaded, and that'd be $10 more than the $240 for Game Pass. I don't think everyone is not going to buy all of those games. Those games are going to have some overlap, but you're not going to have somebody go and buy all those games. I don't know. I think you discount too much the fact that they are selling, essentially guaranteeing that you're going to buy 3+ AAA games a year and locking into that with $240. because I don't think that, everybody's going to go out and buy every single AAA game that Microsoft, puts out there.
I don't think it's $240 a year.
I'm only going off what you read, and Matt's saying that.
I know. I Game Pass Ultimate. Hold on.
But also, Tricky, let me ask you a question. How many games is Sony releasing this year? How many first-party games are coming out from Sony? We know Ghost of Yotei. What else they got?
Hold on. Sony Studios Games 2025.
I'm sorry, this is bad audio, y'all, but we're trying to get to the bottom. We're doing science here on the show.
Yeah, there's not much I'm seeing Lost Soul Aside, which I've never heard of. Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranded on the Beach too.
That's just a publishing deal, right, or something like that. That's not Kojima Productions is not part of Sony.
But
it's not a first.
No, but it is. No, but it is an exclusive game.
Is it? Did the first Death
we don't
Stranding
have
go outside of PlayStation?
It did after 2 years.
There you go. That one's probably going to be the same too. So it's not an exclusive, I guarantee.
Probably. And then there's other games that we don't have release dates for, which is Wolverine, Intergalactic, Soros, Fair Games, and Marathon.
So,
but we all
one.
I'm just
okay. So actually,
all I'm saying is
Concord was the other one, but we know that was a trash fire, so that doesn't count. So 2
was that this year?
Yeah, that had to be.
I thought that was last year.
I thought it was this year, but otherwise, other than that, even if in that case you can't count it because it's a complete failure that they made no money off of. So one game that Sony's releasing this year from their internal studios, and if you get PlayStation Plus, what is premium? $180? Is that what it is?
I think so.
You lock in for 2.5 games, when all you can spend on a Sony first-party game this year is the $70 for Ghost of Yotei.
I don't know. I just.
All right. We've talked about this at length now.
Too much goddamn math, Matt. How dare you?
We're at a point now where, again, the main point of this was to discuss that Sean Layden, who's the former boss, was making comments. And again, the thing I'll say about it is he made comments and then didn't offer any sort of real alternative. Maybe he's thinking something behind the scenes, but I've always been one, if you're going to bring a problem to the table, maybe have some suggestions or solutions.
I wonder how he feels about
the
push, Nishino's push to get some games onto other consoles. Wonder how he feels about that. That's probably bad for the industry too, according to John.
Everything's bad for the industry if you're no longer the boss. Alrighty. And folks, that is the news this week and our topic of the week. Tricky, all yours.
Yeah, let's close out the show. Let's do some shout-outs. We'll start with Yield.
Shout out to Tricky, Alex, and Matt for recording. Shout out to V for everything she does behind the scenes. Shout out to the Star Wars Squadrons boosting group. Shout out to all the pimps and mountains of the whoredom. Thank you for downloading, listening, hanging out with us, interacting, playing games, all that stuff that you guys do. Shout out to Gareth for his community-wide rarity trophy competition that he does. Yeah, that's it for this week.
All right, Alex.
We give a shout out to the listeners, the fans, the fuel to this, the fuel to the fire of this Trophy Horrors, our awesome community. Thank you all for continuing to support us, however you listen, for sharing, the word of Trophy Horrors, for telling your friends, your coworkers, submitting questions, however you support us. We appreciate you. Give a shout out to my co-host Tricky, Matt, and Yield, all of whom were here this week. Celebrate that glorious fact. And last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend Ashley. I love you, hon. And yeah, that's gonna do me.
Alex, just for you.
He got you, chicken fucker.
What was that?
He got you, chicken fucker.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, your shout-outs. We gotta do better on that audio. Alex.
Well, it's gotta be. Well, the audio, it's like it's too light to hear. Like, to me, if I'm listening on my computer, it's perfectly fine. But you playing it over your thing, your soundboard, it's not loud enough.
I'll fix it.
All right. Shout out to you, gents, for recording. Shout out to listeners. Shout out to Will and Curtis for your comments on our question of the week. Shout out to the Channel 3 community. Make sure to check out channel3.gg for your gamified social media. And shout out to Moy V. Thank you for everything.
Also, shout out to Will for his artwork. Thank you, Will.
Yes. I'll just give shout outs to everybody who reached out in the last couple of weeks. I'm okay. I'm healing. It's going to take some time. Hopefully, all my surgeries are done. I did get some good news that I shared with the guys, and turns out that the pain I was just experiencing was just scar tissue. It's nothing more serious, so that is good news. Hopefully, all my surgeries are done. But that's where my shout-outs are going to go this week. And until next week, happy trophy hunting. See ya.
Later.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.